Hey everyone, Derek Weber here. Just posting my voice thread to my reflection and some of my key points I took away from the search and seizure video. So the first thing I want to talk about, what does it take to conduct a search? The Constitution guarantees everyone the right to their privacy, and students don't shed that right just because they walk into our buildings. They are protected from unreasonable search and seizure. Um, so the police and the schools have a different kind of set of protocol we have to follow in order to search something or someone. Police have to have probable cause, where schools just have to have reasonable suspicion. Probable cause, if you have to have a little bit more evidence, a little bit more, a little bit something more to go off of. Where schools can just kind of do it more through hearsay. If they hear a student is vaping in the bathrooms, they can search that student, they can search that locker. But where police officer might have to have more probable cause. They might have to have video evidence that that person was vaping in the bathroom or something like that. I like the quote I saw on the internet about reasonable suspicion is basically an unarticulated hunch. So it doesn't take a whole lot to conduct a search in schools, it seems, compared to what police have to do anyway. Another question was, when do we conduct a search? There were really three different questions you have to ask yourself when you're going to conduct a search. The first one was, does the conduct violate a school rule? Okay, we're not going to just search just for because they're missing a homework assignment. It's got to be something like, if they're, again, like I mentioned vaping before, if there's drugs or maybe weapons involved, then we can search. Another one, do we have a reasonable basis that the search we will conduct will give us evidence the rule was violated? So like if you heard, I keep going back to vaping, but if you heard that the person was vaping yesterday, are you going to search their bag today? That might not be enough of a reason to go through with the search. And then the third one is, what kind of a search should be conducted? Is it a blanket search? They talked about that in the video. Is it is it one where you just search in their locker, or do you have to search the person where you do a strip search? They talked about how strip searches really shouldn't be done under any circumstances in nowadays. But those are some different questions. Another one I thought was interesting, we talked about in class too, was the hunting season scenario. Coming from I've been several small districts, and I've been in a couple larger districts too, where this answer might be a little bit different. But the one example they talk about was, if a student has a shotgun in their truck. Now, I think when certain parts of the country, certain parts of our state, you hear that a kid has a gun in their car, and all of a sudden your arms raised, and you're trying to get to the bottom of it, and you're possibly suspending that student, maybe even expelling them in certain scenarios. But there are certain situations where that kid was turkey hunting that morning or deer hunting the night before, and they just haven't had chances to get the gun out of the truck, or they honestly just forgot. And that there's a lot of responsible gun owners out there. I think most gun owners are responsible, and they might have that shotgun in a case and it's not loaded or anything like that. And it can just be an honest mistake. So I thought that was an interesting scenario. I think things have changed since that video has been posted. But I think maybe it would be a little more strict now, but I think there was a time, and maybe there still is, in some of these smart districts, where it's not as big of a deal as it might be. The last one I wanted to highlight from the video I took was, should minors be able to consent to a search? Typically, parents kind of deal with that business side of it. There's not, or the business side of just their student, but there's not a lot of cases that have addressed this. But he thinks students have the right to consent to a search, and that the schools have the right to execute the search. So if that student, no matter how old they are, if they're a minor, if they consent to that search, the school should be able to go through and conduct the search. I wonder, this is a question I have. I wonder if that will be a landmark case someday. They said there wasn't a whole lot of litigation or a whole lot of cases to show this yet. But if a student consents to a search that yielded evidence against them, but the parents fight it because they don't think that their child should be able to consent to a search. As administrators, we have to be careful not to coerce consent, and to make sure students give consent of their own free will. And maybe maybe they talk with their parents before they give consent. Maybe that's a step we want to go through as a school. Consent also shouldn't be the sole reason you conduct a search. You should still have reasonable suspicion in order to conduct the search. Consent should just be able to make your search easier to conduct so you don't have to break into the car or get into some other place that you need to that's private. But yeah, those are my key takeaways. Thanks for listening.